Hey, pro organizers, it's Melissa, and I am recording this at the crack of dawn in Kyoto, Japan. I am in Japan for a once in a lifetime experience. It's a trip that has been planned by Marie Kondo and her husband Takumi, and I cannot wait to tell you everything that I've been doing. Yesterday was truly one of the most amazing days of my entire life, and I can't wait to tell you about it. But even on a trip, the podcast never sleeps. So I am bringing you one of the great people that I know in the organizing industry and someone who is going to help you get more clients. It is my friend Brie Morrissey, and Brie is someone that used to work at Pro Organizer Studio, and now she helps organizers build absolutely beautiful online presences so that they can find clients. And if you have listened to this podcast for 5 seconds, you know that these are things that are really important to me and really, really matter for you getting clients. So I know that you are going to get a ton of value out of this podcast. So I'm not going to mess around anymore. I will bring you Brie and konnichiwa from Japan. Have a great day, organizers. So I think it has been 2 years maybe since we had you
Probably,
on the podcast. It's
or
been
two
a
and a half. Yeah.
while. But I would like to welcome back Brie Morrissey. You have a new name
A new
since you were last
name.
here.
It's not Brie Kiesler anymore.
That's right. So, in case anybody is wondering, yeah, if you've ever heard me talk about Brie Kiesler, she is now Brie Morrissey, which is a
That's
lovely
right.
name.
Thank you. Thank you. Back to the M, as my maiden name was M. And I'm like, okay, feels
See,
like it's meant to be.
it's perfect. So, congratulations.
Thank
Just
you.
got married, has a lovely family, all of the good things. So, life is good.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. So happy. Just settling in, feeling motivated, confident. I'm feeling like I'm settled. I'm not in transition. And it's just
Yeah.
doing wonders for my business. Like just so much more motivated and inspired. And so it's
When
great.
your life pieces come together, it makes business a lot
Mm.
easier.
Totally. Yeah, because there's like that, not that like underlying stress all the time. It's just I've
Totally.
got it figured out. I've got my routine, and then I've got my tiny little office that's just so cozy.
I
You get
love
so much
it.
done. So
Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see where we all
yeah.
office. So, yeah, but I think that's really important. There are many things that affect you as an entrepreneur, and it's sort of like our clients, like they don't understand that clutter impacts their mental health, your family, all
Mhm.
of the things in your life, like really impact how you deal with being an entrepreneur and everything else. So it's lovely when
Yes.
all those pieces come together.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
So, well, I love your business. Why don't you get, for people that have not listened in the past, can you give people like the 2 second overview? Because organizers very well, and a lot of them know
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yes. I started as an organizer back in 2017. So I have some experience in that world, both like in my own business and working for other organizers. Loved it, but realized through that experience that I really prefer helping with the beautifying of your business. So the branding, the logos, websites, all that, and just really dove into that. It's going on 5 years now since I started. So that's been really fun because of the network and because of Pro Organizer Studio. I had a strong network of organizers when I first started, and it's been so much fun helping you guys get more established in your business and create that visual branding, but also like just the personality of your business and kind of figuring out who you're marketing to and finding the strategies to relate to those people the best. So it's been
Yeah.
really fun. I love it.
So you were an organizer, and then you worked at Pro Organizer Studio for
Yeah, 3 years.
three years. Yeah, I was
Yes.
trying to remember if it's 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
And then you just realized that your passion was really in building branding and website components for people.
Yes.
And I am not saying this to be nice. I'm just saying it factually. She builds the most beautiful websites for organizers.
Thank you.
Like truly beautiful. She has worked with so many people in Inspired Organizer and outside Inspired Organizer. And I love the work you do because
Mhm.
this is something that's super important to me. Like when people come to me and they're like, "Hey, can you give me advice on an SEO person or a website person or whatever?" I'm like, "Please find someone who knows what organizers do."
Yes.
Because so many people, I cannot explain to you how many times I hear from someone, I paid so and so $4,000 for a website. They don't know anything about organizers. They don't know how to write, like they're making a website for an in-person store and it's
Right.
not. Please, whatever service providers you use, make sure they know organizing.
and that they know who really know your ideal client too. I mean,
Correct.
I think I mean, I think everything happens for a reason, and there's a reason that I love organizing and I have that like feminine minimal aesthetic. I mean, it works for this industry.
It does.
And it just makes sense. And I understand that your client is overwhelmed and they're looking for something that's very soothing and easy to navigate. And so that's really important. It's really important in this industry's branding and websites.
I mean, everybody knows if you've listened to the podcast for 2.5 seconds, I'm very big on your foundational pieces in your business. And
Mm-hmm.
those foundational pieces are your website, your Google business. And a lot of that is driven by the branding that is behind it. So
Yes.
it's incredibly important whenever people say, well, I don't know how to find clients. I don't know how to get strangers in to know about my business. I'm like, it always 100%, in my opinion, starts with a great website. That
It's
I will
crazy
die on that
how,
hill.
yes, it's crazy how much the perception has changed just based on like visually how you're presenting yourself online. So,
For sure. So tell me a little bit about just your view on branding in particular. So I know that you are very big on it starts with your branding and that all drives everything else. So can you talk a little bit
mhm.
about that?
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's like different aspects of branding too. I definitely sit very comfortably in the visual branding side of things, but that's not the only part of branding. There's definitely your brand voice as well, how you communicate to your audience, to your ideal clients. And then there's like brand strategies as far as the tech side of things, like how you're making sure that you're converting well and everything. I think all three of those are really important. And just me personally, I really love making things beautiful and making sure things match, which is a big part of this
Yeah.
industry, but it matters to me that things really complement each other. And I think part of one of the best things about a quality good website is like that you don't notice it. Like the better a design is, like the less it's not going to be like visually jarring, or
Yeah.
there's not going to be like big chunks of text or big colors that don't go well, or images that don't match the color scheme or whatever. There are things that kind of that you notice them, you don't want to notice. so
Yeah.
so I try to make things very calm and cohesive and just make sense so that the person who's looking at the site, it's just soothing. They can actually focus on what you're saying and connect with you emotionally and not worry so much about how it looks, how something's spelled, or how the colors or fonts being crazy, I don't know,
Yeah.
or not paired well. So I think just yeah, visually complementary.
I had Meg from the Lit Bulb
Uh-huh.
on. If you and
Yeah.
you work
Yeah,
with Meg on
she's on my
websites.
team. Yeah, she writes for a
Yes.
lot of my clients. She's awesome.
One of the things that we talked about was the concept of user experience. So it's
Mm-hmm.
called UX if you ever see that on a website. And
Mm-hmm.
so talking about the user experience, and you might not be familiar with that. People listening might not be familiar with that, but that is something that's really important. So think about the people that are coming to our websites. They are possibly doing a Google search at 12:30 in the morning because they are sick of their house and they're just
Yeah.
angry, or they are coming to you in the middle of the day because they are completely overwhelmed. They do not know where to start. And so giving them an experience when they find you, total stranger on the internet, giving them an experience that makes them feel like, what am I going to feel like when I get done with this process? And making
Yes.
that a calming experience versus let me throw a
Yes.
bunch of videos or like strobe lights in your face or like whatever. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
extreme, but like you have to give them the experience that they are going to get by working with you.
Yes, yes. And it starts with your website, but like you might spend a lot of time working on your CRM. You might spend a lot of time working with your team and building policies and procedures that really flow well and that create an entire customer service experience. But it starts with your website. That's the beginning of that luxury customer service experience. And so
Yeah.
you want it to flow well. You want it to make sense. You want people to be able to find the information they need really quickly. I always say this, like your website is like your employee.
Yes.
You want it to be your best employee because it's working while you're asleep. So
It's
you want
working
it to be,
24/7,
yeah, like,
365.
you want it
Yes.
to be really working well and like really dialed in and looking good, and all the links are working and your forms are working and they're going into your workflow seamlessly. So yeah, definitely it's part of the process.
You and I both look at websites all the time. And one of the things that I see a lot is it's a combination of you need to have that. It's like the Goldilocks principle. It has to be just right. The bed can't be too soft and it can't be too hard. It needs to be just right. And so what I see sometimes is there's a mix of people who throw every piece of possible information about their
Hmm.
business on one page. Like,
Hmm.
here are the 200 details of how we get things done. And then there are people who put nothing on
Nothing.
there,
Yeah.
including their location, which is please put your location on your website. But
Yeah.
there is a sweet spot of just the right amount of information
Yes.
to not be overwhelming to
Hmm.
people and then not having zero information where people are like,
Yes.
cool, I'm gone.
I agree. And the same goes with branding. I think it's you can start kind of busy and then edit. It's all about editing. Like you can start with all the information and you can edit down. One thing that is a pet peeve of mine is when people just literally want to list every room in the house and say, I do this.
Yeah.
And they
Yes.
have like bullet points of like every room. That's great. But you want to show that, show it through the images that are on your site, like show it through in the paragraphs or like
Yes.
in the testimonials. It'll people will say different places of your house where you
Yes.
worked, and it's you can bring it through in a dance. You don't have to list it out.
Correct.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Is one of the things that Jen said all the time that I have just totally stolen is inspiration, not information.
Yes.
And I think that's incredibly important on a website to really hone down as to what inspiration you need to give versus information. There
Yeah.
is some information, but
Yes.
like it's minimal. It's
Yes.
about giving people
You're
buttons to
selling
click.
like a feeling more than like
Yes.
a to do, yeah, like a to-do list. Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
So you have created something that people will be able to get very easily. We will put it in the show notes and all of the things.
Hmm.
But you have worked on something that is basically the 8 things that you see as kind of it's time to pivot on your branding. Just
Yes.
8 things you want people to think about is maybe it's time for a rebrand or a refresh. We can call it a refresh too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Brand refresh. Yeah.
was there something that sparked you, or were you just, I feel like I just need to put this out in the universe?
Well, I just want to inspire people to kind of think through their business, make sure that they're relevant, make sure that they're really reaching the people that they want to reach. And just through my experience working with so many organizers, I think sometimes people come to me and they think they want one thing. And like we have the consultation and then we kind of go through their homework. And then I'm like, actually, let's also do that. It's not
Yeah.
just this page on your site. It's like, your whole brand. Let's just do the
Yeah.
whole thing. And I try to carefully and thoughtfully be kind about it, but sometimes there's things that are glaringly obvious to me just because I do it all the time. Reasons why it would be time to rebrand. And so I just wanted to share those reasons just based on my experience and probably just some personal opinions.
Yeah. Listen, personal opinions of someone who actually knows things
Yeah.
are
I
totally
mean,
fine with me.
yeah.
So,
So I just came up with a list of 8 different reasons why, and it might spark just a new conversation in your head or an idea of like how to freshen up things for your business. And that might just start a whole new trajectory for your business. So
I
yeah.
love it. Before we get into this, so
Hmm.
I refreshed. I realized like was a couple years ago. Yeah, no, it was a little over a year and a half ago. We're gonna call it. I was like, I've had my home by 11, my organizing website. Like I did it myself. I loved it. I really did love my website, but I was like, it's time for a little zhuzh. And so one of the things we're going to talk about is that I think is genius is you have templates that you make for people.
Yes.
And so I bought one of your templates and I
Yes.
love it. It makes me so happy. It just spoke to me and
It was colorful.
it was colorful. Yeah. I only wear black clothing, but I like color everywhere else
Oh,
in
it's
my
obvious. Your personality is
yeah,
color.
but I loved doing that. Like it really kind of re-energized me for my organizing business, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. And so anyway, I'm here to say that you can do a rebrand and a refresh and it feels really good. Like it's
Mm.
not
It's a
throwing away all
confidence
the work you did.
booster.
Totally.
Seriously.
It would
Yes,
be
because
like if you wear a new outfit, you feel better.
yes, exactly. Because
It's
you're,
just,
or if you renovate your house, you're like,
yes.
oh, I can invite people over now. Or when
Yes. It's
you
just
redo your brand, you're like, I can show this off. Like I'm proud
yes.
of this.
It's a
Like you
new
want it to
outfit
be
for your
fresh.
business. So anyway, but I'm just here to tell you that doing a rebrand, I think sometimes people are like, "Oh my gosh, like I've done all this work or I've spent all this money or like whatever," but it's really important, especially if you're not getting the results in your business that you want.
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
is something that is really I just want to make that point really clearly. It's about the results you're getting in your business. And if you're not getting some of those clients in, if you're not getting that, I just want people to look at all of the parts of their business and
Yes.
starting with their branding and their website.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so give us some of the reasons for a rebrand.
Okay, I think I'm just going to start pretty basic and just
Do it.
say if your branding is dated, but what does dated even
Yeah,
mean, right? I think that could be kind of subjective depending on your own visual preferences or your demographic. But from my perspective, I think that if your branding is 5, 10, more than 10 years old, I mean, that's
yeah,
definitely a good reason to look at rebranding, just because at that age, it probably does have some dated elements to it. Sometimes it is occasionally very timelessly and well done. In
yeah,
that case, I might recommend changing your color palette or just tweaking the layout of your website, but really just depends. And you're welcome to message me on Instagram, be like, how does this look? What do you think? I love giving my opinions.
yeah,
But here's a few examples of what I would consider dated. So if your logo is using like rudimentary colors, just like really plain, like primary colors, I think shifting to, say you have like green and red and blue or something, and if they're
yeah,
just like very basic of those shades of those colors, just shifting to a softer palette within those color themes would help a lot. That's okay. Is that a preschool?
yeah.
Colors matter.
They do.
And that's the first thing people are thinking is, okay, what's the theme of this business? Just based on the colors. Like colors alone make a big difference.
Colors
Um,
are can be jarring or soothing depending
yes,
on, and
yes.
I will not name it, but there is a like a large organization within the organizing industry that it like when I go to their website, I just go, this feels it just
It
doesn't
needs to be
feel
updated.
good. Like the
Yeah.
primary colors here are not helping
Yes.
me go, yes. So,
And that doesn't mean you can't have bright colors. It doesn't mean you
correct.
can't be bold. It's just we can just shift it a little bit so that it's not so on the color wheel of like
Yeah.
the primary. Okay. Gold lettering. This one might be a little bit controversial.
Interesting. No, I'm ready.
I
I'm
think
ready for
maybe the way
controversy.
that it's done, maybe, and people were using that a lot like 10 years ago. It was just that,
Yep.
everything had these gold touches in it.
Yeah.
I just think that less is more and simple is better. And like gold flare on everything to me looks dated. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. I would prefer, if you're wanting something really interesting, if you want a business card and you love the flare of the shine of the gold,
Yeah.
I think it'd be better to get something embossed. Get
Yeah.
it
Oh yeah.
pressed, pressed in, like get the thicker cards, or get something that feels good, like the velvety touch or something like that. Like
Yeah.
there's elements that you can do that really look updated and modern without that like flash of
Yeah.
gold. Okay. Again, that's just my opinion, but I think it's dated. Now, also to go along with that, dated script fonts. So
Yeah.
script fonts there's so many, and you might think, oh, they're script, and then people like script, so any script will do. But there's like
Negative. That is not, let's just say no. Like
so
I have so many pet peeves about script fonts. And
yeah.
by the way, you might like people listening might be like, I've seen you use script fonts. Yes, but I have a lot of feelings about them.
Yeah. Well, for one, I do hold strongly to the belief that in your brand, choose one. It's your accent font. Choose one and
Yes.
use it. It's your law. The law is you use these three fonts are the fonts that you use, and
Yeah.
this script accent font is the only script accent font you use. So it's important to make sure you find one that is easy to read. But what I was going to say was script fonts that kind of look
Old fashioned y.
crafty calligraphy.
Yep.
That's old. Crafty calligraphy is out. A lot of luxury brands now are using an accent of a handwritten script.
Yep.
So that looks nicer. But again, some of those are really sloppy. So you have to be careful when you're choosing to make sure that it's legible as well.
I would also like to highlight your use of the word accent. It's an accent font. It's not an on every heading.
Yes.
It's not in
That reminds
paragraphs.
me.
Yes.
Another pet peeve, man, I'm getting into this.
I
Another
love
pet
it.
peeve is all caps script.
Yes. Oh,
Never
please
do
don't do that.
that.
Please don't
Please,
do that. Yeah.
please don't
Here's
do that.
So I love a good script, like a very beautiful script font
Yeah.
as an accent.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I will remind people of is so it's hard for some people to read it, especially some of the really artistic ones. They're
Yes.
actually very hard to read.
Kind of
You know what it
sloppy.
says,
And the
but
like
other people might not.
the tilt of the words, sometimes the tilt goes like this on one letter and this on one letter. You kind of want it to be like
Yeah.
flowing.
So what we want to think of always is our ideal clientele, and
Yeah.
that is who is going to be reading this. Will they find this hard to read? The other thing I'm just going to throw out there, just personal story nobody asked for. The like a lot of schools now, I don't know about your kids, but schools are not really teaching cursive
Yeah.
anymore. My daughter, who is 17, my third grade goddaughter,
Mm.
they learn cursive at their school. And I was like, hey, can you look over Sibby's homework? And Emma was like, I can't read it because
Oh my
this might
gosh.
be a personal problem I need to solve. You guys might be like judging
It
me,
might be
and
a
that's fine.
regional, it's a regional problem, probably.
Perhaps. But what I'm saying is there are a lot of people now who cursive is not
Mm.
their, like, it's not something that they learned growing up like we all did. So just saying, use it judiciously.
Yeah. And maybe that's why some of these younger creative brands aren't using it as much.
Yeah.
I don't know. And
I don't
that's
know, man.
fine. Let's just go with it.
Yeah.
Go with a nice like serif or something. It
Yeah.
looks
Do
very
it.
like editorial. So that's
Do it.
fine. You don't have to use script. Okay. And then the last two for this, so we don't talk about it forever, it are over detailed illustrations. So if
Okay.
you have a, I had a client recently who had, we redid her branding, but she had a house, but it had so much furniture in the house.
Oh, yeah.
It was like there was too much. It was too much. Or it was like multiple houses or multiple boxes with lots of different furniture
Yeah.
and different colors. And it was too much. It was like, okay, let's simplify this. Let's
Simple.
have a simple line drawing and one little shelf or something very
Yeah.
simple. And it looks more timeless. You can see it when it's small.
Yes.
So whenever you get whenever you're doing your branding and your logo, make sure that when you make it small in a profile image or something, you can
Yeah.
actually see what it is.
You know
Like,
what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last one is overcomplicated illustrations. So what I mean by that is if you have to explain how this abstract image relates to your business,
Yeah.
then it's not helpful. It would be
Right.
better to not have an illustration and just use some cool typography than
Yeah.
to have something really complicated. Even it's like get a tattoo.
Yeah. Right. Get a tattoo.
Get a tattoo of your personal story. Let's make sure
Yeah.
your brand makes sense to just the everyday person.
Here is my hot take about organizing logos, and you can feel free to agree or violently disagree with me. Simpler is just better. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally, it can just be the name of your business
Mm-hmm.
in a beautiful font with just a little something around it. You do not need to go all in on, I
Right.
have to have a house in it, or I have, by the way,
Mm.
all of my logos have houses in them. That's just my
It's
choice.
fine.
But you can also just say, this is the name of my business. And
Yeah.
it's got, I am going to put one very beautiful font, and then organizing is going to be in a sans serif font. Boom, you're done.
Yep.
Like it
Yep.
does not have to be
I know.
complicated.
And some people might criticize me for that, but there's a reason I do it. There's a reason that my logos are pretty simplified.
It should
Like,
be simple.
I mean, I give several options of them so they can use them across different platforms and marketing materials. But yeah, simple is better. And I definitely agree with that.
So you mentioned that the time frame of if it's been 5 to 10 years, which I fully agree with. I
Yeah.
would also argue if it's been more than 3, I
Mm.
might even take that down to if it's been more than 3 years, just take a look at it and make sure
Well,
that
because
you feel good.
usually in a 3-year period, 3 to 5 year period, you're shifting your business model or your
Yes.
services anyway.
Also, let's
No.
just think about I have a lot of feelings about Instagram, but think about Instagram 3 years ago versus Instagram now.
Yeah.
Wildly different. 3 years ago, we were curating feeds and making sure everything looked. Now
Yeah.
we don't care about that as much, right? It's
Yeah.
just throw some stuff up there and whatever. And
Do
so
a
you just
funny dance.
yeah, right. Like I'm just saying 3 year cycles are just take a look at it
Mhm.
if it's been longer than that.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I agree.
yeah.
Yeah. And then speaking of business model changing, that's actually my next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another reason why it might be time for a rebrand is your business model has changed. And what I mean by that is there's lots of ways your business model can change. So your core service might change. You might want to have a different niche or work with a different kind of person or in a different space. Someone recently, an inspired organizer, was like, I just decided to niche down and I'm
To
now only
pantries.
doing pantries. And that's
Yeah.
great. In fact, people think you're an expert if you
Yeah.
if you do it well, because also branding
Yeah.
matters in a specialty and in your niche. But yeah, so examples like you've shifted from in-person to online services only. You might be starting a family and then you're just wanting to like just do blogging or just do virtual sessions or something like that. Like you definitely have to shift your, not just your branding, but your the language in your site. Or you're building a team. If you're building a team, that would be changing your business model. If you're building a team and you don't want to just be the face of your business anymore,
Yeah.
if you started your business, say use your name
Yeah.
and you just say me and I in all of the text in your site, and you have all
Yeah.
these pictures of you organizing, and it's been 5 years, and you have a team of 10 women, and you're hardly ever on site anymore. And your clients, we've heard this, your clients are like, well, where are you? I expected to
Yeah.
see you.
Right.
So like there's a big shift that needs to happen there. It just depends on where you are and what your goals are. But
Sure.
change means you need a new logo. And then you need new branding photo shoot because you want to make sure you incorporate your team or something like that. You want to change your web copy to make sure that you incorporate the team feel of it and that your clients aren't expecting you to be there. So that would be another way that your business model will change.
Can I go back to something that is also, I'll tell you, an opposite
Yeah.
pet peeve
Yeah.
is if you are a solo operator, which I am by choice, if you do not have a team on your website, it shouldn't say
Yeah.
we. It's just say me, I, what, like that
Yeah.
creates a more personal
Yeah.
feeling. If you do have a team and you're using we, then you need to show your team. Show
Or
your team in
be on
action.
route to having a team. I think you can
Totally.
do it if
Yes.
that's your intention. Yeah. And
Yes.
either way that you go, just make sure your site is consistent
Yep. Agree.
throughout. Yeah.
Fully agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Another reason maybe would be your branding isn't attracting your ideal client anymore, or your audience has changed, or it's not specific enough. So these are all kind of still part underneath this business model thing. If you maybe you I keep using this mom thing, but if you became a mom, all of a sudden you can relate, or you feel like you want to shift and specialize in playrooms or something like that, or you just understand, or infertility, there's whatever you experience in life, it gives
Yeah.
you an empathy and a way that you can really niche down and relate to a specific type of person and have a specific specialty in your service. But that does impact your messaging. So those
Totally.
are all, reasons to rebrand. So that's the business model
Yeah.
that
Well,
I
and
have.
I think too that looking at where your business is every year, like all of us have changes in our business every year. And I think what you're saying about is there a certain kind of client you're trying to
Yeah.
attract? Either they're not coming to you or you want to aim your business differently. A lot of that is going to involve some sort of changes. It could just be changes in your verbiage. It might be your website is fine, but you need to really look at your verbiage or the
Yeah.
services you offer
Yeah.
or anything else.
Yeah.
So,
And another thing that I've seen is style of organizing. Like some people, want to come at it as we are like going to tough love. It's boot camp kind of organizing. And then there's some people who are like very soft and gentle and like careful about it. Your website can showcase that without you even talking to the person.
completely.
Yeah. And you
I
want them to know what it feels like to be around you, because there's some people who are looking for that. And so
Yes. I feel so. We've been talking a lot in the podcast over the last few weeks about like showing who you are on your
mm-hmm,
website
mm-hmm,
and just in all of your stuff. Like really being authentically who you are.
yeah.
Trying to be someone else is exhausting.
Yeah.
And so I really just think it's so important to be like, hey, here's what the experience of working with me is like. I have had people that have come to me in the last couple of weeks actually who are like, I really need, and they say it in their email to me. I need a gentle touch. I cannot have
Mm.
someone that's coming in and yelling at me what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I appreciate knowing that, right? By the way,
Yeah.
I'm not that person anyway. But there might be organizers that are like, you know what? I'm really not into the psychology as much. I'm just going
Mm.
to come make you have a beautiful closet. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's all of us exist on this continuum for different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just being really upfront with people about who you are, what it's like to work with you, all of that can come through on your website.
Yes. Totally. Totally. Another point that I wanted to make is, so we mentioned earlier how your branding can really affect like your confidence level.
Yes.
And if you are embarrassed
Yeah.
for people to see your branding, or to see if you think twice before you give someone your website or your business card or something. I
Yeah.
mean, that's obviously an indicator that you might need a revamp. But yeah, this is where I mentioned like your brand is your hardest working employee. It represents you all the time, even when you're sleeping. So you want to make sure that you're really proud of it. It reminds me of if I visit a friend's house and they're just going around their house and they're just pointing out all the things that like aren't done yet. And
Right. Yeah.
they're just like, oh, but I'm gonna renovate that and I'm gonna fix this. And oh, these curtains are changing. It's
Sure.
like, okay, well, if you feel like you have to just over explain everything, or you're
Yeah.
embarrassed to show it off, yeah, definitely there's your sign.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's definitely another reason that I have up here.
I think when you first start your business, you might be in a place where, you kind of created everything on your own,
Yes.
which is, by the way, there are a million resources to do that.
Mhm.
If you are bootstrapping your business, there are so many ways to do that. But it might just be that you're like, I was in a different place X number of years ago. It might have even just been a year ago. It is okay for you to be like, I did the minimum viable product. I talk about that a
Yes.
lot. MVP, minimum viable product. It's
Yes.
okay to have just something basic out
Hmm.
there, but you might be like, okay, I'm in a different place right now, and I want to kind of come up to where I am right now.
Yes. Yes. And I think, honestly, to speak to that, the more time that goes on and the more options there are online for starting your business, there are so many beautiful templates out there. There's no need, like, even your DIY doesn't have to look like DIY anymore. There's
No, it does
just
not.
so many affordable options out there that you can just like plug and play and make it look beautiful. So another point I have on here is if you have new competitors in town or your competitors are rebranding, there's this industry is growing so rapidly and people are utilizing professionals or templates and they're coming on the show like guns blazing, like beautiful. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're just not for comparison's sake, but just to be smart, checking out your competition and making sure that visually your site and your brand online and your marketing just looks very professional. And if it's not outshining them, it's at least
Yeah.
running at equal standing. So that's important. When I work with my clients, I actually have them, when they're filling out their questionnaire, I have them send me like 3 or 4 of their top competitors. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at them. I want to make
Absolutely.
sure that when I'm finished working with you, like you look better than anyone in your town, you know?
I do. So I really feel strongly that I don't want people to go down a rabbit hole of comparisonitis. Like
Yeah,
that is a
no,
dangerous place to go, but you have to know what other people in your area are doing.
yeah.
And like you said, at least rise to the level, if not exceed it. I will
Hmm.
tell you, as someone, I've done audits for organizers before where I look at all the other websites in their area and I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you, these are all terrible. You could do the bare minimum and still look
Yes,
better than some of these
exactly.
people.
Yes.
Then there are some markets where, listen, if you are in, just an example, Dallas Fort Worth area,
Oh my gosh, there's the most organizers there.
yeah,
So
so
many.
many organizers in,
Yeah.
in DFW. But if you are in Dallas Fort Worth and you need to rise to, you are going to have to up your game
Yes.
versus someone who lives in rural Minnesota, right? You're
Yes.
going to have a different experience
Hmm.
there. Not that you shouldn't have a beautiful website in rural Minnesota, by the way, but I'm just saying you've got to look at your competitors and see what are they doing and how do I up this experience for
Yes,
people who are coming to me.
I agree. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And that includes, I mean, sometimes it's just like disorganized copy, too
Yeah,
much copy, too many different fonts. I mean, just little things you can tweak that are just
yeah,
going to make your site like a breeze to go through.
yeah.
And yeah, yeah. Let's see today. And then I mentioned the templates. It's just, there's so many options out there. You ready for another
I'm
one?
ready.
Okay. You've moved or you've expanded to another city.
Yeah,
So if you move, it's fine. It's fine to keep the branding you have, but sometimes when you move, you're moving somewhere where the culture is different, the city life is different, the demographic is different.
yep,
And so you really need to evaluate your brand and if the specific kind of service that you provide makes sense to that demographic, if the imagery or the branding, visual branding that you have makes sense to that demographic. You're always wanting to key in to or to hone in on your ideal client in that area and make
yeah,
sure that you're really speaking to them. And that's not just speaking
yeah,
in your words, but also visually. So yeah, that is part of moving, just part of moving. And also if you are working on building a franchise or just expanding to another city and having even bigger team and all that, you just want to make sure that is clearly explained on your site. And sometimes that might require a visual rebrand as well.
Yep.
Does your audience in your new location resonate with your current brand? Or does relocating allow you to introduce yourself to a fresh audience? Does your brand outshine your competitors? So you want to do that
Yeah.
again? Like you're in a new area now. So let's look at these guys. And does your new location require a shift in your services or business model? And then should you shift your branding or services to resonate with your local culture?
And it's also, if you're moving to an area where organizing is not as prevalent, then you sometimes have to go outside of your industry too.
Mhm.
We've had a lot of people in Inspired Organizer that have moved to brand new areas that sometimes are smaller than where they came from. And so then you have to start looking at what we always talk about, analogous industries. So interior
Mhm.
designers,
Yeah.
this may seem crazy,
Staging.
but personal trainers, we always talk about like how do personal trainers find clients in those areas. But yeah, looking at some analogous industries to us and how are they marketing themselves and out there is really important.
Definitely for inspiration, for
Yes,
learning from people that are already doing a great job.
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Another reason you might need to rebrand is you just purchased someone else's business.
Yes, this is happening a lot more.
Yes. Yes. The longer the industry is around, the more this is happening. And sometimes you might inherit a great business with lots of clients and
Yeah,
a lot of word of mouth and just really established, but they might have that 10-year-old branding.
yeah,
And you're like, oh, do I keep it because people know what it looks like and they know it? Or do I shift and risk not people not knowing who I
sure.
am anymore? So this one is a little more tricky. I've done this a couple times. And what I recommend is, well, obviously, if you feel like if it ticks some of these boxes and you feel like you do need to rebrand, I would say like keeping some of the brand elements and letting go of the others. Like you might have that overcomplicated or rudimentary color illustration, so you could remove the illustration and keep the name. Like you could simplify it, or you could keep the colors but just get a new logo.
Yeah.
um
Well, I think when you buy someone else's business too, there's a sweet spot of changing everything the minute you buy it versus letting a little bit of
Waiting.
time pass
Yes.
by. Like it's a little bit of that sweet spot of knowing I'm not going to change everything on day one because we want people to feel comfortable. But at the same time, it'd be just like me and my own business. I didn't sell it to anyone. I just changed the branding. Like you can also do that and it's still okay, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes.
So,
I agree with that. Like just waiting 6 months or a year and kind of shifting in social on social media, like creating that new brand vision or that the new values or the new brand voice,
yeah.
having that kind of established and then slowly integrating your new visual branding. That makes perfect sense as well.
That's a big thing happening now that lots of people are thinking about selling. I know a couple of people who have sold, and it's definitely something that this is a bigger business concept, but you might decide that you're ready to do something different and sell it, and that's okay too. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So number 7 on my list says you want to raise your prices without people questioning you. So if you want your brand to really appear as the expert, or you want to speak to that ideal client, sometimes the branding that you currently have, it might have that DIY feel, it might have that
yeah.
dated look, and you just want to shift to make sure that you're really speaking to the right people. Sometimes this means creating a more editorial luxury brand. Sometimes it might mean shifting into a specific niche. Say you just like only want to work in playrooms or something, then you want to make sure that your branding resonates with like busy moms and kids. You want to have that colorful, like really approachable vibe, and you might not be there yet. So creating that shift in your business can really help people to trust you, to respect your brand, to be like, oh yeah, she definitely like her pricing makes sense, or
Yes,
to not question your pricing. Just visually, your presence online can just make a really big difference
it
in
really
that,
does.
yeah, in that
Well,
sense.
I'm a big proponent of everybody raising their prices. So,
Yeah.
someone in Inspired Organizer posted the other day, like, just in case someone's looking for permission, I just raised my prices on a random Tuesday afternoon. Yes, you can do that. So,
Yes.
but you're exactly right, is you want a website that matches the price point of what we do. And it's not about even who your ideal client is. I'm not talking about, you do not have to have an ideal client that lives in a $10 million home. You can have
Mhm.
an ideal client that is just like you or me, but you still want to
Right.
give people the feel of what we do is a service that
Mhm.
is, there's an investment attached to it. And we want to give people the feel that, yeah,
Yes.
this is what the service is.
Yeah, and the language on your site, the messaging of the value that you provide is just as important. It's just as important as the visuals, really. And so
Absolutely.
conveying the value that you provide in people's lives can make all the difference as well.
For sure.
Yeah, like that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Don't just list what you can do. Don't just list the rooms you can organize. Let's talk about like how you like are really changing their quality of life. How
What is
you're
the
really
transformation they are going to get by
yes.
working with
Yeah.
you? It's not
Yeah.
about picking up the Legos. It's so much deeper than that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is my last one. Um, but this one I actually worked with a client recently who this was kind of her main goal
Yeah.
and it's different than all these other ones that we've talked about. So if you're wanting to build your team
Yeah.
and if you're not attracting the level, the
Yeah.
caliber of employee that you want, and you keep finding people who are just like, oh, I got this availability, or they don't respect your process, or they don't really, they're not invested, they're not like loving organizing and can't get enough of it, and they're just not that quality employee, then definitely rebranding or redesigning your website could attract people in droves and really
For
get you
sure.
those. And this worked. Like when I worked with my client a couple months ago, I think it was like in February or March, she within like a week or two of launching her new site had 5 like really high quality
Yeah.
applicants and then was able to get new people on her team right away. And she had for years struggled with people coming and going and just not. And it's crazy, but when you have that nice site, they're like, oh, I want to work for this company. They look so
Okay.
established. Yeah.
This is fascinating. I have never thought about this
Mhm.
in terms of rebrand. Like I've never thought about it attracting not only the right clients, but the right people to work on your team. I think that's genius.
Yes. 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 It's important. I mean, they're looking at it too. They're thinking about the quality and how you present yourself and how professional you look. And
Yeah.
is this someone I want to, do I want to be this, do I want this person to be my boss? It's not just visually too. It's creating the values and the atmosphere and the culture of your business.
Yep.
You want that to be evident in your website. You want people to want to be on your team. It looks like fun. It looks like you have a lot of business, or it looks like you have really good after photos. It's obvious that you're doing really good quality work and it's going to boost their experience and their resume. And so, yeah, they go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just those ideal clients, it's the ideal employees.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that this is all a really good example too of there might be people listening to this being like, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. Something my kids say to me all the time is, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. No, by the way, it might just be putting like dishes away. But I do think that there is something about there is a feeling that you might be getting of, oh my gosh, this feels like it could be a lot of work, but I'm telling you,
Mm,
it's worth it. This is one of those like
mm-hmm.
you make the investment of time on this now,
Yes.
it will pay dividend or the investment of money to have someone
Yes.
help you.
Mm-hmm.
It will pay dividends, like
Mm-hmm.
countless dividends. If someone spends some amount of money on a refresh and a rebrand, you are going to get the clients to pay for that. The
Pay for it back
ROI on that is
really
so
soon.
high.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
I agree.
seriously, it's so high.
Yes, I know. And people get stuck in that. Oh, I don't have enough. I will hire you when I have enough clients.
Sure.
Okay. I understand. Like I do.
Yes, we
But
all do.
you're gonna get to that point a lot faster
Yeah.
if you look good.
Yeah. There is something that I think about a lot. It is just it's called opportunity cost. And it's
Mm,
about so you and I understand I do not want anyone to be fiscally irresponsible. I really believe in people being smart about their business. But if you spend a year dinging around trying to DIY your own site, you have missed a year of full of
yes.
clients.
Oh my gosh.
So in
Yes.
trying to save $2,000, you might have actually cost yourself
100.
35,000.
Yeah. Okay. Depends on your location.
Yeah, or more. There are lots of organizers I know that are in six figures. And so
Mm,
you have really lost out on if your business is not out there, you actually have not saved anything. You have actually
mhm.
cost yourself tens of thousands of dollars. I really believe in how important this is.
Yes. And I have processes. I have processes that make it happen really fast.
Yeah, right.
Like I care about like the efficiency. Like I like to organize. I like to be efficient, and I care
Yeah,
about the efficiency of this whole process. I don't
right.
want to be working with someone for 6 weeks and they're like, oh, is it done yet?
Yeah, right.
Back and forth and decisions. Like decision
Yeah.
fatigue's hard. We know because we do it with our clients. And I'd rather you make all the decisions in 2 days than
Yes.
6 weeks. So that's what I do. I do it quickly.
Well, and I think that's really important because, again, like I said way earlier, I have had so many people who have come to me with really sad stories of I have paid someone a ton of money and I have no website.
Mm.
And I actually sent you one of those people recently. I was like, you
Mm-hmm.
got to call
Mm-hmm.
Brie
Yep.
because she had spent a bunch of money and had nothing to show for it. And so that's another thing is please, I do not have people on the podcast that I don't believe in what they do. I do not recommend things that I don't personally believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I turn down things all the time. I get pitched all the time, you guys, and I turn down things all the time. I only tell you about things that I believe in.
Yeah.
And you are one of the people that I
Oh, thank
believe
you.
in
Thank you.
because you actually deliver what you say, you
Mm.
deliver it quickly. You have a process. Tell everyone a little bit about. You basically have like work days, right? Like you
Yeah. So
we're
yeah,
like organizing.
when I started my business, I started it like traditional design because that's all I knew.
Sure.
And it would take me 3 to 4, sometimes 5 weeks, just depending, because I was working with 5 or 6 clients at the same time.
Sure.
I know everyone here listening understands. It's a
Yes.
long, drawn out process when you're working with a lot of people at the same time. And some organizers have done this too, where they've shifted to this like organizing day model,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yes.
I took a course a couple years ago, and it was like how to shift your design business into
Yeah.
just a day model. And I was like, yes, I want to do this. And when I did, my my revenue doubled like
Yeah.
the first year because I was able to focus on one client at a time. So
Yeah.
like I have you do the homework, it's all automated instructions and everything's really it flows well. And when it comes to the design day, then we have a call the day before. We're looking over your homework, making sure we're on the same page. And then on design day, depending on the length and complexity of your project, sometimes it's 1 day, 2 day, or 3 days. Just
Yeah.
occasionally it's just like a half day, but usually my bread and butter project is 2 days, and I'm able to help you create your branding. So that means like your color palette, your font pairings, and your logo, your family of logos, and then also your website. And that's enough time to build a good like starter
Yeah.
website with maybe 4 or 5 pages. I have clients who come back, and I also have clients who've been established for a long time, and we're like doing full rebrands, and it's a bigger
Yeah.
project. But if you're just getting started and you're just needing that branding or switching from DIY to something
Yeah.
more luxury or just established or just professional, then yeah, having that 2 day process, it's amazing. It goes so well. And then we like meet on Facebook Messenger, and we're able to collaborate together. I'm able to get your feedback in real time, and then I've got that homework and your feedback, and I can get the work done quickly. And you just see it. You see it unraveling. You see it building right in front of your eyes, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun process, and then they're able to launch it like right away. So
It's
so
sort
it
of the
works. It
same thing
works.
as a client who comes to you and is like, I want my whole house done in a week. And you're like, cool, we'll figure out a way to make that happen, right? Like you could get someone from nothing to a business launch
Yes.
in a short period of time.
Yes,
It's
yes. And
not,
then especially with Megan's help, because she comes in and I can write if I need to. Chat
yeah,
GPT helps me too. But she's just amazing. Like
yes, she's great.
she's worked with probably 50 to 75% of my clients,
Yeah,
and she can take any background, any story, like any why for your business, and just turn it into this beautiful emotional copy that's going to really pull people in.
yeah.
And I don't know how she does it, but she's gotten different new copy for every client, and then I'm able to
This is
build
why
this
those people
like
do what they do
that's
because
she
they're
loves
good
it.
at
Yeah,
it.
she's good
Like,
at it.
we don't know how it happens.
Yeah. So she writes the copy, and then I build the site around it, and it's just like a perfect little partnership there. But so yeah, and then really quickly it all comes together, and then you're able to launch it like the next day or that day or whatever, whenever you're ready. But I just love the efficiency of the process and how many more people I've been able to work with and help because of it. So
Yeah, it's great. And then I talked about it earlier, but you are launching 3 new templates too. So
yes.
templates is a great way if you are truly in that area of, I really need to bootstrap my business, but I also don't know how to do this. Your templates are an extremely cost-effective
Mhm.
way to get a stunning website
Mhm.
done very quickly. I can say this from personal experience, super
Thank you.
easy to use,
Thank you.
like very beautiful. And you're going to have six. Is
Yeah,
that
I'm
right?
gonna have 6. Yeah.
So six templates. I don't care
Yes.
what your aesthetic is, you're going to be able to
Yeah.
find one.
I like to have a wide range of different like colors and
Yeah.
layouts and stuff. And so when I started, I did 3, but that was back when Squarespace had like an older editor. And
Yeah.
so I took a pause, decided to get married, got a little busy with that. And then so I had my template shop on pause there. And I was like, I can't keep selling these on this old editor. I
Yeah.
was like, I have to shift. So I waited and I waited till I had some time and like this new energy after getting married. I just have so much motivation and I feel settled and it's just so fun. And so I'll have my an original, the 3 classic templates
Mhm.
ready and available for you, and then 3 new ones that are just like, well, I think they're so much better. There'll be a difference in price as well. So there will be some more that are a little more simple and
Yeah.
some that are a little more detailed. So
But
lots of
what's the
options
price
for you.
range? What's your price range for those?
Yeah, like 3 to 500. Getting started like with a very professional design, I think that's really good. That's definitely a fraction of the cost of working with
It's
me.
totally. Well, and by the way, working with you is not like $82 billion.
No,
It's
it's not.
it's a good investment. But yeah, this is a good way that if you say, I can spend $500 or less and have essentially a fully beautifully built website.
Yeah.
And one of the things about your templates that I love is all the pages are there, right? There's
Yes.
a page for blogs.
Yes.
You don't have to set up anything,
Yeah.
anything. It is
Yeah, there's
just
lots
like
of
it's all
pages
there.
because I know in this industry, like I know, well, just from my own experience, I know what your core page, like your skeleton or your core
Yeah,
pages should be. But then I also have all the options that the typical organizer would want. Like
right.
you're gonna want to show off your favorite products. You're gonna want to have a blog. You're gonna want to have testimonials. So and maybe a portfolio. So I've got those options there, and even an option to add a team later on. You can just add it to the page. So there's plenty of options. And then also one of the things I love about my templates is what I've noticed in the past, and I think they still sell them this way sometimes, is when you buy a template, you're buying a template kit, which basically means you're buying a video that teaches you how to build it from scratch.
Right.
That is so much work.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, you're buying a video and
Yeah.
then like a file with some stock photos, and they're just like showing you every step of the process on how to build it yourself. What I do is I literally duplicate a completely finished website and then share it with you. So
Yeah.
you don't want to subscribe to Squarespace before you buy my template, but you start with the template that I send you and then you customize it from there. So it just makes the process so much easier because then you're just changing like some colors and adding your logo and adding your text and maybe changing some of the photos. But I think even the photos I found are really pretty.
Oh yeah, I kept pretty much all the photos
Yeah.
you did. I would say it's sort of like organizing Mad Libs. Did anyone do Mad Libs when they were a kid? Like you just have to fill in the blanks. Like it tells you
Yeah.
to fill in a noun, right? Okay, so you get it and you're like, and the other thing too is especially if you're newer to business, by the way, you don't have to be new to business to get one of these, as I was 5 years in and I bought one.
Oh,
But
yeah. Yeah.
when you're newer, you might not know all the pages you need, or you might
Hmm.
not know all of the elements you need. That's the other thing is you're actually not just getting a template, you're getting a business guide, in my opinion,
Mm.
because
Mm.
you show people like you need testimonials. Here's where they go. You need
Yeah.
a blog. Here's where it is. Please start blogging. Everybody start blogging. Like
Yeah.
all of the things are already there. So it's
Mm.
not, that's again like the value of
That's so
someone who
funny. One
knows.
of the things that I've noticed, this might surprise you, but one of the things that I've noticed that people skip a lot is their about page.
Yeah, it's huge. It's so important.
It's
That's why I
so
get most of my
important.
clients. My about page is how I get most of my clients, you guys.
Yeah. 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 You need an about page for sure. And it's like
Yeah,
a little bit, it's like 25% about you and 75% about the value you bring.
right.
That's like the equation. Okay. So like your about page is really important. You don't just want, and also you don't want like a 1 page scroll website, not good for SEO. Takes
Yeah.
forever to scroll through on mobile, which most people aren't on mobile.
Yes.
Yeah. So like you want a page that has website that has individual pages, and you want an about page, even
Yeah.
if you are self-conscious and don't want to talk about yourself. You want photos of yourself and you want an
Yep.
about page because that's the second most highly viewed page statistically on a website. So
Yes.
get it.
And I will say this until people don't need to hear it anymore. People are hiring you and or your team to
Mm.
come into their house to like it really takes a lot of trust for you to just invite people into your home and wander through all your things.
Yeah.
Okay. As I say, we are in people's underwear drawers.
Yep.
Okay. They need to know and trust. It's that no like trust factor.
Hmm.
They need to feel like this is a person I'd be happy to invite in my home. And having an about page that tells more about you than
Yes.
just, I like to organize. Tell
Yes.
your story, whatever that story
Like,
is.
do you like crime podcasts or whatever? There's
Yeah,
little
right. Like
details about you that people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, I love this person.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, just please put that stuff in there because it is a way to connect with people. You would be shocked at how many people will take a little nugget of something I have on my about page
Yeah.
and reference it in their email to me.
Yeah.
Just do it. It really,
Yeah.
and I don't want to hear that you don't want to talk about yourself, and I don't want to hear that you don't want pictures of yourself. And please do not come to me with those excuses because I
Yeah.
will plow right through them.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. I hope this is very motivating
Yeah.
and gives people fresh energy to update their online presence.
Yeah, just update. And the other thing too, any changes you make to your website are positive for your SEO. So
Mm,
adding a
mm-hmm,
blog,
mm-hmm,
even just refreshing your website, it's good for your SEO because
mm,
it tells Google, hey, this person is out there, they're changing things, they've got stuff on there,
yeah.
like all of that. It's actually a really good move for your SEO. It's not a dangerous move for your SEO
Mm-hmm,
to do some of
mm-hmm.
these refreshes.
Yes, yes.
So go do
And
it.
just a little side tip, not to overwhelm anyone, but just remember that when you rebrand, you want to make sure that you're changing the profile pictures on like your email, your
Yes,
CRM, your Google business profile. Like you forget all how many places
it's a lot of places.
that you have it, but just take a couple hours on an admin day and just go through, just do it all at once. Just go through and swap out all those profile pictures or business names or whatever so everything appears super consistent across the board. I make this mistake. I mean, I forget too. I
Oh,
forget where things are sometimes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been a year and people are getting this and it's got my old logo. But I'm just
yeah.
so from experience, I'm just saying update it everywhere.
Listen, in case you think the two of us are perfect, we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, we make mistakes all the time. But yeah, that's it. It's a
Mm,
very real thing to realize like all the places your stuff is out there
mm-hmm.
into the universe. And yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
I feel really strongly that you should have someone outside of yourself. It's sort of like we talk about with clients. Sometimes an outside set of eyes is really important.
Mm,
Like they don't see the things that are clients don't see the things that are right in front of them. Well, we often don't see the things that are in front of us
yeah.
in terms of our own stuff. I for sure am guilty of this. So having someone take a look at it. So ask a trusted friend, another friend in organizing industry, take a look at my stuff. Can you give me a few thoughts?
Yeah.
I think that's really important too, because you might not realize how you're coming across to someone. And again, I 100% suffer from this. So
Tell me what my honest opinion, because I
yeah,
sometimes want to
you
people
just
please, and I'm like, do you really want it? Are you sure? Like on the
yeah,
consultation, I'm like, I are you sure you want to hear it? Are you sure?
yeah,
You mean
right,
you're sure? And
right.
they're like, yeah, just be honest. I'm like, okay.
But I have a hard time. It's hard for me to take even constructive criticism because I feel like it's a personal attack, and that is a
Mm,
silly problem that I have to work on myself as a
yeah.
personal problem.
Mm.
But I also realize as someone who offers feedback, like it's really just out, it's truly out of, I want your business to be successful.
Yes. Yes.
I want people to come to you and to say, hey, I'm excited to have you organize for me. So ask someone trusted for their feedback, ask for it honestly. And then I'm telling you, do the work on your branding and your website. And it's going to pay
Mm,
dividends.
mm.
Dividends.
Agreed. Agreed.
So many. Okay. So your new template shop is launching May
May
21st.
21st. Yep.
And then in terms of if someone is like, dude, I need all of this, tell people how to get in touch with you and how to work with you.
Yes. Okay. My website's BK Branding Co. I recently rebranded and made it mean something different because it used to mean
Yeah,
Brie Kiesler, but now it means becoming known,
I love
branding
it.
collective. So if you want to become known in your industry, you can go to bkbrandingco.com. You can email me through my contact page. You can also follow me on Instagram at BK Branding Co. And email me at hello at BK Branding Co. if you have any
Yep.
questions, or you can just DM me on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to give you my opinions and work with you if you want. And then my template shop will be open on my website. You can find it
Yeah.
in the templates tab.
Exciting.
Mhm.
You also, this is important. The
Uh,
other thing that I want to talk about that you do is you do some Canva templates that are great. I have purchased these. I
yeah.
am a client. I have purchased these.
Yes.
So tell everybody about the Canva templates you have
Yes.
available.
So if you are on social media and you're not great at like creating all these graphics that kind of match your branding, you can purchase my templates. I have a huge selection. I think it's 300 or more than 300 for Instagram specifically.
Yeah.
And then I also have, so sorry, these are on Canva. If you're not familiar with Canva, it's kind of like Photoshop online for dummies, and
If
it's
you're not familiar with
amazing.
Canva, I need you to get familiar with Canva
Yeah.
right now. Nobody should have
Canva
a
is
business without a
amazing.
Canva Pro account. That's
Yes.
another hill I'll die on. $13 a month. Go spend it.
Yeah, so cheap. Amazing. I actually use it for the majority of my projects because
Yes.
I want my clients to be able to edit the work that I do so that when they change their business name or they change their phone number or they change a color or whatever, they can get to it. Like I want it to be easy for
Yes.
you, and not feel like you're being nickel and dimed by your designer.
If
Anyway,
Canva charged me $200 a
you
month,
would
I would
yeah.
still pay it. I'm
I
telling you, it's
know, it's
$13 a
amazing.
month. I'm
And
dying.
all the
Please go get it.
every month they're doing new updates and they're just making
It's
things super
insane.
cool. Yeah. So it's getting better and better. Anyway, so I created templates for not just social media, but also I've
Do you have
got a
lead magnets?
I've got lead magnets, I've got promotional cards, which would be
Yeah.
like anything thank you card, free consultation cards,
Yep.
and business cards and flyers and that kind of thing. I also have a template for something that's gotten really popular recently, which is called the style catalog, or it's a
Like a lookbook?
product. Yes. So when you're at a consultation and you're trying to just explain to your client, like, do you like hyacinth baskets or do you like
Right.
acrylic? And they're
And
like,
they're like,
I
what?
don't know. And you're like, okay. And you're like looking around their house, you're trying to figure out what their aesthetic is. You can just, so I have a template that is like a catalog. So it's like 26, 27 pages. And you just pop the images in and then name them. And
Yes.
then, yeah, you can show different, like, you can either show categories like by room,
Yeah.
or you can show categories by style. So you could be like, oh, whimsical or classic or modern or whatever, and then show how you would do that, like the
Yeah.
Pinterest pretty photos, and then specifically show pictures of each product. Your client can pick and choose what they want. Then there's also pages that show the higher end option and the budget option. So you can kind of show that. It's awesome. People love this template. It's really a great add to your consultation to make it look like you're like super, super put together. And you
Together.
like, yeah, you're like, oh, I have a catalog. This is my aesthetic, and or this could be your aesthetic or whatever. That way, also, you're kind of showing your client organizing products. And
Yeah.
these are the products that you might even have a warehouse that you're like keeping your inventory in.
Yeah.
You can just showcase the ones that you buy all the time. You don't have
Yeah.
to find a new product for every new client. If you're using the same products a lot, then put them in your catalog. That's another one. And then I also have like media kit templates. I don't know if I'm missing any, but you can check out
There
my
are lots
template
of
shop.
templates and they're
Yeah.
super affordable.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing is you do not have to create things from scratch, especially lead magnets. Just please everyone get a lead magnet on your site and you can go get a template and just do them beautifully and easily and boom,
Yes.
you are done. You do not have
Yes.
to build it from scratch, which is my favorite. So,
Mhm.
okay, so basically we want everyone to go out and please look at all of your branding. Please look at all of your stuff. It's a big process, but also it doesn't actually no, it's not a big process. It's just an important process. It's
Mhm.
important to your business. It is important to you finding clients
Yeah.
and
It'll breathe
that's
new life into your business, but also into your confidence around your business. So if it's feeling stagnant,
totally.
I mean, I feel like last year was a really hard year for organizers everywhere. There was a
Yeah.
dip in sales that I've noticed
Yeah.
just through my calls. It's going back up this year. And if you're wanting
Yeah.
to kind of
It
like
is.
just revitalize it and give it that X factor and really bring in more leads, then this is a great way to go about that. So,
I fully agree. And I just think that this is one of those things that one of the things I hear a lot is that the things I have always done that have worked aren't working anymore.
mm,
And that's one of those times that you sometimes just have to go back to basics
yeah.
and start over with the foundational things and then figure out the bigger things. So
Mm, mm.
It's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that we have you in our community and in our
Thank you.
industry. And you have
Yes.
so many people that have trusted you for many years with their digital properties. And
Mm.
I swear she is not going to take your money and ghost you. She will take your money and give you a beautiful website that brings people in.
I
So
try to under promise and over deliver.
that's right. Yes. Also, I will say if you are someone who is, and I know that you have various packages for a full website build, but one of the things I will tell you is compared to some of the things I hear, I've heard horror stories about people, like how much money people have spent for websites that are
And
like
then
one page. Brie is
yes. Oh,
extremely affordable
yeah.
for what you do. So please,
You're buying my time, but like
yeah,
I'm fast.
yes, you are.
I want
You
to get
are.
as many pages, yeah, and I want it to look good. So
So
yeah.
what I just mean is you are a trustworthy person and you're
Mm.
also for what you provide to people, it is not an investment that you're going to be like really losing sleep over.
Regretting. Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
That's
Thank you.
I really mean that.
Appreciate it.
So
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited to meet
I'm
new
so
people
excited. Yes,
and
new
I'm excited
people.
to be here. And I hope
Yes.
everyone is encouraged and inspired by
Yeah.
this podcast. I
Me
look forward to seeing
too.
how the industry continues to grow and
Yeah.
people just rock it. I'm excited. And I'm gonna be at
Oh, yeah,
the
How to
How
Summit.
To Summit. If you want to meet
Yes.
me, I want to meet you. So I'll be there September 21st.
September 20th through
Yes,
22nd.
I'll be there. Yeah.
But if
But
you're
if you're
coming to How to
coming, I
Summit,
can meet you there.
that's right. All right. Well, thank you for being with
You're
us.
welcome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.